Okay, so I just woke up. It's 6:48 in the morning. Um, I had this crazy wild dream. Um, and it woke me up, and I felt like I needed to get up immediately, and I threw my shoes and socks and everything on, and I got some water. Did I get water first? No, I didn't. I went outside, and then I noticed that the clouds were really kind of different. It looked like another sheet. It was like a I say another sheet. I'll describe it. It's like a sheet, and it's real thin, and it has like squiggly lines in it, and it's white. Um, and then I decided to walk up the hill a little bit here. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri right now. Um, St. Louis, Missouri, and I I was looking at Orion's belt, and then I was looking at the stars surrounding it, and the first thing I saw was I saw Jesus on the cross. I mean, I see a picture in my brain, but it's posted up on the night sky. And I saw that the belt was actually like that sash. You know that sash. I mean, that's the picture I see. But it's like he's there, and then there's this sash on his waist, and that's where the belt was. And I couldn't I couldn't. So it's like you got either like the two stars here, like the Northern Cross, right? It's like two stars here, and then there's one there's one at the bottom. No, was there one at the bottom? I don't even know now. Um, but that's what I saw, and I noticed that there was a star here, but there wasn't a star here. And I was like, "Where's that star?" And I tend to talk. I tend to talk while I'm looking at what I'm looking at, and I was like, "Where's the star here?" And I'm looking at it like the opposite, right? So it's like, then I said, "Well, did I take?" It's like I took the star, and it's right here, and it makes me think of my right brain because the things that I see, it's like I see I see in pictures, and it's like the creative side of the brain. But the only way that makes sense, the only way I can make it make sense in this world is by having the left side, because I see this order, this perfect order in the trees. I can actually see structures and stuff like that. Oh, saw something else. I actually see the structure and stuff like that inside of nature, in the trees and branches and everything else. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Okay, right side. Okay, so it's like it was as if I didn't see it there because it's actually right here. So it's like maybe my logical side was actually looking at that. Maybe my logical side was looking at it, and that's why it was maybe my. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you ever look at, there's like this picture test, and there's a bunch of little like bunch of dots on the page, and if you look at one, some tend to like sort of just disappear. It's like what your brain does. And then I actually just thought of it right now, is that, okay, well, it was not there, so I wonder, I wonder if that means that what side of your brain you're actually using. It actually shows you what side of your brain you're using, because it disappears and reappears all depending on how you like shift your eyes a little bit. Um, so I notice I'll see different pictures like in the sky, or on the ground even. I mean anywhere really. I can look literally anywhere, and I can see an order, see a perfect geometric structure in it, and uh, and if I look, it's like I use my peripherals, right? There's something about the peripherals, because night vision is using the peripherals, because you got well, this is what I see. Is like when you look at like directly at something, that's when you see the color. But when you kind of like look, like that animal instinct thing I was telling you about, where you look one place, and then you kind of like look at that way, you can see everything else, and that's like the the black and white cones. But there's something about putting it all together. There's something about making connections with that. It's like you've got the color in the center, which is funny because their eyes are black. Okay, well, I mean the pupils. Hey, holy crap, I didn't even think of that till just now. Okay, so it's like you got the center, which is black, so it's like concentrated. It's like concentrated color because we know that black absorbs color, right? So you got the color when you look right at something, like in the daytime. But then at night, you know, you sort of use your senses and you use your sensibilities. You use your peripherals to really actually see what's going on. But you're also using everything else too. So I wonder if that has some sort of connection. I mean, okay, I think it has a connection to your eyes because the color, it's like, because I see color at night, I'm kind of wondering if there's something else going on in the eye that maybe we're missing. Because if I'm seeing color at night, I mean, how in the F am I doing that? Because I fail to see where science has found that. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about it right now. What I think maybe is that by looking at one spot and by honing in on all of it, you can actually make the connections like a wheel, like a spokes wheel, like pie. Why does that make sense to me? I don't know. But yeah, it's like you take that and you sort of like, it sort of like branches out, you know what I mean? Like it branches out from your pupil, and in that way you can actually bring color into the, your peripherals, because that's what I see, but like scientifically it doesn't really make any sense. Well, I mean it does, but I mean like in our current science. Wow, okay, so that's not even what I wanted to talk about, so that's interesting. Um, what else? There was something else. Oh yeah, they were talking about, I talk out loud, but it happens so quickly that it feels like I'm using both the sides of my brain. And sometimes I move so quickly when I'm tired because I'm still in like that dream state, you know, that I'm like literally dreaming, but I'm awake. Maybe it's like a pineal thing, like a pineal gland, DMT or something, I don't know. I lost my train of thought again. Ah, oh, Chicago. Oh yeah, okay. So I was thinking about like, why I'm on this trip, right? And it's like what I picture about this trip. Sorry, I'm trying to be quiet. Somebody's moving around upstairs. So it's like what I picture I'm doing on this trip is I'm literally taking my own like the fabric of my own space in Connecticut, and I'm grabbing it like this, and I'm hoisting it up, and I'm like trudging through. Like I'm literally going, and I'm like pulling this fabric with me, pulling this bubble fabric with me, and everything becomes encased where I go. I lost my train of thought again. I'm thinking too hard. I'm pulling the fabric with me. Oh, crap. Okay. So I'm pulling the fabric with me. And it's like, I noticed that there's something about your mind and your body that actually does something to the earth. Because when I slow down, like really slow down, I hone in on the Akashic records. And I keep saying Akashic records, but what I really mean is the basic elements, the smallest pieces of the puzzle, which is, the elements, the air, water, wind, fire, spirit, earth, stuff like that. So it's like when you slow down, you are now honed in on those basic elements, and they're real powerful, you know. But when you speed up, when your mind goes super fast and you're all, you're moving, you're like no longer really, it's different. You move through life different. lost a connection there. I feel like I had a connection there. I'm trying too hard. Okay. Okay. So it's like when you go slower, you hone in on the basic elements. When you go faster, you hone in on like compound elements or something like that. It's like the bigger piece of the puzzle or something, because your mind's moving really fast. I'm trying to make sense of this, and I feel like I feel something in my brain. It's like a brain body, and then there's like spirit body. I'm not sure. It's like when you do things without thinking about it, that's like total spirit. But when you do things, but you hesitate and you think about it, it's like somehow that hones in on Akashic records, on the basic elements, because they realize that you stop, and it's like I always feel like they're sort of like watching you to see what you're doing, to see if you're picking up on something, like a message that they're giving you. So it's like whenever you just sort of like stop for a minute and hesitate, there's a good possibility that they might think that you're figuring something out. So they might get, they get really excited. Because I know that when I'm honed into the Akashic records, and I slow down, and I feel something over me, like I'm really happy, or I'm like checking something out, and I'm like really looking at it, like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. I I like I feel like I'm trying to figure it out, and they know intuitively. They know that I'm doing that and what I'm looking at because of my facial expressions, because of the way I move, the way I look. They and the colors. It's like they can actually see what my aura looks like, so they know what I'm doing. Um, so they tend to get excited too. Like they move differently. Like the trees will move a little differently, and you can hear different sounds, and they literally respond to it right away because they're trying to move for you so you can see something different. Um, so when you hesitate and something happens, you know how they say like don't hesitate, be persistent, be focused. I mean there's a lot of truth in that, because if you don't know what you're doing, maybe they get excited because they think you're trying to figure something out, and it's like all about perspective. Maybe you are curious, so it's like if you don't know what you're doing, asking a question and just kind of like looking around, or waiting a second, you'll get an answer. But if you do something that you don't really know what you're doing, and you don't have confidence, then it's like I think that's where accidents happen. That's where accidents happen, because it's there's nothing wrong with being like cocky or arrogant, but it's like it's the confidence that pulls you through. It really is the confidence. Like even if you don't know what the heck you're doing, if you've got a focus, that's really what seems to matter, is the focus, because it's genuinity. It's like it's like being a leader in the military. Sometimes you don't really know what the right answer is. Sometimes you really don't know what you're doing. So it's like you got to make a decision, and you got to make it now, because this is like the no crap real deal serious moment, and you learn as you go. But you have to be in the moment, and you have to make a decision, because that's it. You're their hope, you're their leader, and they depend on you. And the more you just go, and that's animal, and you just go. You just immediately know your environment. You immediately know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, you move around, or you kind of like you move your fingers, or eat sign language. This is what waiting means. This is the sign for waiting. You're thinking, right? You're waiting, but something's constantly moving all the time, like little atoms moving around your body. Like no matter what, you're always kind of like, if you stop completely, that takes you out of the whole moment. And I'm not saying like you can't be in the moment, but if it's something serious, it should be taken seriously sometimes. And I'm also not saying take everything serious. Ah, okay. There's so many like dualities, these dichotomies. Alright. Well, I guess that's how you find the middle ground, by like looking at the two sides. Uh, you hang 10 to find the 5? I don't know. I feel like there was more. I get going, and I end up talking about something totally different. It's so funny. Ah, yeah. I'd like to talk about something else. So, also, well, last night, before I went to sleep, I was looking at the moon. The moon was like this, right? Wait a minute, did I check it? Holy crap, I think I just realized something else. Oh, I talked about it. Last night, the moon was like this, right? Like that. I'm looking at it like this. Okay. I can see, um, when I woke up this morning, it was like this. Well, it was kind of cockeyed, I think, like that. See, now why would that happen? Oh, okay. So, um, okay, so, okay, when I was pulling the fabric, okay, here, I'm getting back to my point. I'm sorry, I just woke up. So, I'm pulling the fabric right on my road trip. My road trip. And I pull the fabric, and I realize that sometimes when I'm driving, I get into the Akashic Record mode, the slow motion, I feel everything move, so everything moves with me motion. And then, and I need like coffee sometimes because that literally keeps me in the moment. I'm like Flash, I'm like the Flash, you know? I'm Silver Surfer and I'm moving through things like really fast, and I'm in the spirit, I'm in the moment, I'm in the physical, and I don't think about it, I don't worry about it, I don't hesitate. I am there, I am confident, that's what's going on. So sometimes if I feel a little uncomfortable when I'm in that Akashic Record mode, it's because the bigger elements are moving around. I mean, the basic elements, I think big elements. Well, okay, like the elements of the earth, uh, of this world. Okay, so it's like if those moments exist, if I'm not completely in the moment and confident all the time, then that means that a lot of things need to move around a little differently. I feel like I'm not making sense because that was something that I knew. I feel like I have to explain that a little. Um, so, um, okay. Okay. So when I get home, when I get to where I'm stopped at here in St. Louis, Missouri, this is my stop point for that night. When I stop now, everything sort of settles down, right? So what happens is I pull the fabric, right? And it's like sometimes I teeter and I totter, right? I get like a baby carriage. um and sometimes I forget something, or I have a disconnect, somewhere, and I let go. But it's not like it just snaps. It doesn't have to snap, because I usually catch myself, well, as quick as I can, and I'm like, okay, gotcha, never mind, I gotcha, and I'm going, and then another disconnect, and it's like, all right, so it's like that. So then it's kind of like a backwards jellyfish, I guess, right? Okay, so then I'm like, oh, hold on, I got it, I got the safety blanket, right, the baby blanket, I got it, fabric of time, and I'm going, and then when I settle down, right, this is what I picture in my mind. I settle down, and it's like when you take a blanket and you flip it out, it's like, well, and maybe not so violently, but it's like I set it down when I get here, because I always feel like I kind of slow down. Like my body just knows at night. Sometimes you gotta just slow it down a little bit, and it's like it settles. You know what I mean? Like what? Oh, I just thought something else. So it's like the timelines, the curves in the earth. it's like I literally pull it so tight that I take all the wrinkles out. All the wrinkles out of time. So that we can see between those gaps, those depressions, those dips. And I pull on it, and then I've smoothed it out, and now I'm placing it down gently, smoothing it out, you know, like you're ironing it, right? I smooth out the lines. So I set that down. And well, that changed my whole perspective on what I was going to say. This actually fixed it a little bit. I'm not sure. Well, that's just funny. Okay, well, I was also thinking about, uh, I was thinking about, trees. I was thinking about roads. I was thinking about how we knock down trees to make room for other things. And it's like, yes, we can look at it as like we're hurting the forest, but there's other things, you know. Ooh, saw something else. Because when I look at the Akashic records, I see buildings, but I also see people's faces. Just a little backstory. So I was thinking about like the whole cutting trees down and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, so we look at it one way, but there's got to be another thing to look at, because it's like the dualities that help us find the middle, right? So I was like, okay, well, we cut down the trees. We cut down the trees. However, we use them for things like paper, or we use it to build houses, right? We use them to build houses, or we burn it, and the soil becomes nutrients rich because of the ashes. It creates a rich soil. I saw something else. Um, but like, you know, even though we cut the trees down, we make them into houses, and we usually put the houses where we had the trees. So I'm like, when I think of trees being people, like the people died and then it sprouted back up, right, and people, I'm like, what I think about is that Curlian photography. Curlian photography is aura photography. And what's really interesting about this guy that created this in like 1970 something is that he would take a picture of a leaf, just regular leaf, been plucked from a tree, and you'd see its aura. What he did is he tore a piece off that leaf, and he, you know, set it back down, took a picture of it, and noticed that the aura stayed there where the piece was ripped off. It's called phantom leg. Yeah, I guess that makes, it's like phantom leg, you know? It's like people that have their amputee, and they still feel like they're moving something even though it's not there. Well, Kirlian photography shows that the energy is still there. So what made me think about the trees was that you cut it down. It's a phantom tree though. So even though you got rid of some pieces, the spirit, haha, the aura is still there, right? So it's like when we cut down these trees and we put a house over it, you've now like put people in those in those houses. You put trees, you put people in those houses, you put like so much energy in that house. Maybe that's the reason why some houses have a lot of energy in it, and people are like, oh, it's haunted because this, and that, and things always happen to these people in this house, and maybe that's why. Because it's like maybe they were people that were buried in a certain place and they held a certain energy, and so when they cut that down, I mean, it's geological, and it's also the trees and the material that it's made out of that made that house in particular. So I mean, when they talk about history in these houses, that there's history in this house, I mean, there's history in all houses because we use all these things and we transport them all over the world, and we import it. I mean, we got history like all over this place just because we import a lot of stuff. Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't even think I'd delve into it that much. Um, so it's like no matter what we cut down, no matter what we burn down, no matter what happens to this world, if a house blows up, if an atomic bomb explodes, and like, you know, well, it did. Okay, so those things happen. However, they're still there though. Because Kirlian photography proves that the energy is still there. That proves that. And not only does it prove it by seeing it in that instance, by using that device, but people feel that. Amputees feel that phantom leg. And I think what it is that maybe our whole memory and the act of forgetting who we are and our past lives and our timelines and our history and all that, it's like a phantom spirit or a phantom body. They're like phantom bodies. Whoa. Huh. Yeah, they're like phantom bodies because the spirit's walking around, right? So it's like, yeah, the flesh kind of like something happened to the flesh, but it's the phantom energy that is still moving around. Well, this makes sense about top, bottom, middle, about past, present, future, and I didn't figure it out until just this moment. That's the reason why they keep telling me that it's coming together, but they keep saying, but you realize, Theresa, it's always been here. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like, intuitively I get that. That makes sense to me. But did I get it? Not till right now. It's the phantom energy. It's the phantom energy. Whoa. They're right. It's all right here. Because something just happened to the original form, but the energy remains, the spirit remains, like no matter what. And we can prove that by what people feel and by photography, by actual devices where we can see it and feel it, and we can sense it. Wow, that's really amazing. I didn't even think of that. It's not even at all what I wanted to talk about. Wow, making videos is really amazing. And I only got like an hour. I slept for like an hour. I slept for like 1 hour because I was so jazzed up last night. It was an hour ago. Silly, right? An hour, and I'm like so awake right now. That's amazing. It's amazing what the elements can do to you, right? Kind of awesome. Okay, I think that's all I have for now because I just blew my own mind out the back of my skull. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Well, good morning, and thank you for watching.